Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. Gino Palazzolo told nasty stories about Jasmine to male cast members. 90 Day Fiancé star Gino Palazzolo has been raising some eyebrows for his behavior throughout the latest season of 90 Day, The Last Resort. He and Jasmine Pineda are hoping to fix their marriage at the retreat. One of their main issues was their lack of intimacy. But some Redditors think there's more to the story, which may have led to Gino's issues fulfilling his wife's needs. Keep reading to see the discussion. Gino's recent actions in 90 Day, The Last Resort have left many viewers scratching their heads. The 90 Day Fiancé star has been struggling with any physical interaction with his wife. He looked so uncomfortable when Jasmine was giving her a message. The two also slept together with bags between them. Jasmine has also been frustrated about how Gino ends up laughing whenever they're trying to have intimate moments together. Some 90 Day Fiancé fans on Reddit discussed the recent episode of Between the Sheets. According to the poster, they noticed that most of the male cast members have turned against Gino Palazzolo, especially Florian, who said Gino is not an innocent guy. This sparked speculation in the comment section that Gino may have told the male cast members something nasty about Jasmine and his kinks, thinking they wouldn't expose him. Florian can't help but blurt out his honest opinion. He called out St. Josh too. I'm actually shocked he cheated because he seems incapable of lying lol. I noticed this too. Florian was all about Gino on Last Resort, so when he said that it seemed like something happened in between filming that and Between the Sheets. I can tell Florian's attitude shifted after Gino went more into detail about his nasty habits. Also, what man wouldn't be weirded out by wanting to take the blue pill just to masturbate? That turned off all the cast men lol. Gino is a creep, he always was and he is. And I think people realize they've been blaming Jasmine and her craziness on his behavior, but deep down they could see that he's not such a nice guy as he appears to be. I think Gino opened up to the men and told them all his weird kinky stuff. Gino Palazzolo and Jasmine Pineda have been going off on social media over the past few days. Jasmine insists that Gino's ex-girlfriend leaked nude photos of her, which led her to lose her teaching job in Panama. However, Gino's ex said she had never done such a thing. She even leaked text messages she received from Jasmine, which consisted of insults and hurtful words. Meanwhile, Gino has been calling out Jasmine for lying about him wanting to be in a separate bedroom during their Valentine's Day special. The 90 Day Fiancé star added that Jasmine had already left their home for several months prior to the video, implying that Jasmine was the one who never wanted to be in the same bed with him. Gino Palazzolo told nasty stories about Jasmine to male cast members. The untold drama behind the scenes. Behind the polished glamour of reality TV shows, a storm brews quietly beneath the surface. For viewers, the drama often appears manufactured, a carefully curated narrative that keeps us glued to our screens. But for those living the reality, the chaos is all too real. One such incident, shrouded in secrecy, involved Gino Palazzolo, a name that for some might sound familiar thanks to his appearance on the hit reality series The Bachelor in Paradise. Known for his charming yet occasionally abrasive demeanor, Gino was always a magnet for attention. But his behavior behind the scenes raised more than a few eyebrows. One of the more troubling aspects of Gino's time on the show was his treatment of fellow contestant Jasmine. Their relationship from the very beginning had an air of tension. What started as a seemingly innocent flirtation quickly spiraled into something much darker. Behind the scenes, where cameras couldn't capture every interaction, Gino would often gather the male cast members, weaving a series of stories about Jasmine, stories that were far from flattering. These stories, whispered with an almost perverse delight, painted Jasmine in a highly negative light. According to several sources who were close to the situation, Gino didn't just make a few offhand comments about her. No, he told what could only be described as nasty stories about Jasmine, aimed at undermining her character and reputation. Some of these tales were embellished or completely fabricated, designed to make Jasmine seem manipulative, untrustworthy, or even promiscuous. It wasn't just idle gossip, it was calculated, and it served a clear purpose: to shift the narrative in his favor and ensure his image. This whisper campaign was a need for power. Reality TV, for all its glitz and glamour, is a battle for control over how you're perceived. By painting Jasmine in a bad light, Gino thought he could secure alliances with the male cast members, who would, in turn, view him as someone who had insider information. His tactic was simple. If you can make others question Jasmine's integrity, you can build your own standing in the group, making her the villain and himself the misunderstood hero. But Jasmine wasn't just some passive character in the drama. She caught wind of the stories being spread about her, and like anyone who has their name dragged through the mud, she was furious. What made the situation even worse was the knowledge that the male cast members weren't just listening to the stories, they were often repeating them. Gino's narrative spread like wildfire, leaving Jasmine to pick up the pieces of her broken trust. For Jasmine, the fallout was swift and brutal. As the male cast members began to form opinions about her based on these stories, it became more difficult for her to build genuine connections with anyone on the show. The trust she thought she had built with some of the other contestants now seemed shaky at best. Those who had initially been friendly with her now looked at her with suspicion, as if wondering if she were the same person Gino had described in his tales. Yet in some ways, the male cast members who had been influenced by Gino's stories were not entirely to blame. Reality TV is a high-pressure environment, and in many ways, everyone is playing the same game. Whether it's Gino's strategy or the need for validation, it was easy for the male contestants to take Gino's words at face value, especially given his charming and convincing persona. The tight-knit nature of the show, where alliances are formed quickly and often in secret, only amplified the risk of these nasty stories having a ripple effect. Interestingly, the more Gino pushed the narrative of Jasmine's supposed faults, the more he alienated himself from some of the other cast members. While his stories might have won him short-term support, it quickly became clear that the narrative he was trying to spin was unsustainable. The other men on the show began to question the motives behind his constant vilification of Jasmine. They started noticing the inconsistencies in Gino's tales, and as the truth began to emerge, cracks formed in the story he had so carefully crafted. As Jasmine became aware of the full extent of the gossip, she made the decision to confront Gino. Their conversation, tense and loaded with emotion, became one of the most talked about moments behind the scenes. It was raw and uncomfortable, a clash of egos and a collision of truth and deception. Jasmine didn't shy away from confronting Gino about the nasty stories he'd told. She made it clear that she knew exactly what had been said about her, and she was done playing along with the narrative Gino had tried to create. What followed was a dramatic shift in the atmosphere of the show. The male contestants who had once sided with Gino began to distance themselves from him. They realized that, in some ways, they had been complicit in perpetuating a false story about Jasmine. Some even apologized to her for not questioning the rumors sooner. It became clear that, for all the power Gino thought he wielded, it was the truth that would ultimately come out on top. Gino's attempts to manipulate the situation began to backfire. While Jasmine emerged from the ordeal stronger and more self-assured, Gino's reputation took a serious hit. The stories that he had told about her became less relevant, and his once stronghold among the male contestants started to crumble. It was a reminder of the delicate balance of power in the world of reality TV, where stories can be twisted and alliances can shift in an instant. The whole saga left many wondering, how much of what we see on reality TV is real? And how much of it is a carefully constructed lie, told by contestants who know how to manipulate the narrative? Gino's actions showed just how far some people would go to control their image, even if it meant throwing someone else under the bus in the process. In the end, Gino's attempt to turn Jasmine into the villain failed, not because of anything dramatic that happened on the show, but because of the resilience of the human spirit. Jasmine refused to be the pawn in Gino's game. She didn't just fight back, she reclaimed her narrative, showing the world the kind of person she really was. The nasty stories Gino had spun about her became just that, stories. And while the damage was done, the truth had a way of finding its way to the surface, as it always does.